How are we doing, Jets fans? Glenn Naughton, Jet Nation Radio, JetNation.com. Breaking news. Finally, after months of speculation and people worrying a little more than they should have been, Tom Pelissero reporting that Quinnen Williams, New York Jets defensive tackle, has got his new contract. The deal falls exactly in the range that basically everyone predicted. Everyone was calling for a 4-year deal worth around, between 90 and 100 million. 25 million a year ballpark is what many of us were saying. That's where the Jets end up. 4 years, 96 million, 66 million guaranteed. That is a ton of guaranteed cash. Great job by Nicole Lynn, his agent, getting that deal done, getting that amount of money for Williams. He will now be locked up for the foreseeable future. We saw it coming. Dylan Terraman, who may or may not be joining me here at some point, messaged me a little while ago to say, hey, not sure if you saw it, Quinnen has updated his social media bio again. The Jets are the team he's on once again. There was never a question, right? We explored the possibility of, if the Jets didn't get this done, what would their motivation be? And we kicked around potential ideas, but I think it was obvious all along this deal was going to get done, and now it is done. Quinnen Williams, nothing there. Message Dylan to see if he could hop on. Um, like I said, waiting to hear back. But either way, Quinnen Williams done 4 years. What is this? 4 years, 96 million, 66 guaranteed, and now we get training camp in a week. I'm sure the Aaron Rodgers contract, whatever that is going to be, I'm sure that news will not be far behind. Matty Ice, or Matt Ice, is absolutely pumped, as many Jets fans will be, should be. Let's go get Hop and Cook. Listen, I've let my feelings known on both of these guys a fair bit. Hopkins, I'm all for it 100%. Make it happen. He elevates your group into the next level. Jets likely, or the Jets reportedly, have no interest. Cook, to me, solid number 2 behind Hall. Not sure with this O-line with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure they need another back. Wouldn't hate it, but wouldn't love if they broke the bank for him. But right now, the big news: Quinnen Williams back with the Jets, not back with the Jets, but inks with the Jets to remain a Jet for at least the next 4 years. Huge money, but again, money we expected. It is the largest contract in the history of the league, the largest second contract for a defensive tackle. So no one on their second deal has ever earned more. Of course, Aaron Donald is getting more. He's at his 31 million a year, but he is making significantly more as a guy who's been around more, done more, proven more. Aaron Donald still top of the heap, which is, again, what a lot of us expected. And I asked a few times, I was like, does Quinnen want, I don't know that I ever said, does he want 30, but I said, does he want to be closer to that? Because again, the what seemed to be the obvious answer was the 25 million a year range, be it 22 or 27, somewhere in there. But it was, kind of, you start thinking, does he want 29? Does he want 30? Turns out it was, where we all thought. There were rumors, I guess the rumors were endless. It's years, it's money, it's guaranteed money, it's this, it's that. In the end, he got there was talk that he wanted a 3-year deal. Not a chance. There is no way that Nicole Lynn or Quinnen Williams or anyone expected the Jets to be willing to give him a 3-year deal. Nobody was getting a 3-year deal. You haven't seen another DT in that class get a 3-year deal. Any of these guys resigning, nobody's getting 3-year deals. Quinnen Williams is so young. He has so many good years ahead of him. If you're giving him that kind of money and you're the New York Jets, you're going to want more than 3 years guaranteed. So the Jets get 4. I'm sure the Jets may have liked 5. Like, if you want to tell me that Quinnen wanted 4 and the Jets wanted 5 and they haggled a little bit, that you could get on board with. That might be a realistic thing. Because if you're the Jets, of course you'd love to have him for 5. And if you're Quinnen Williams, of course you want a chance at another deal as soon as possible. So 4 was what made sense all along. It's what all these guys are getting. Hater says, glad it's done. Just where you speculated, one less distraction. LFG, indeed. House of Dragons, I like that. That's a play on Aaron Rodgers saying, be the dragon. And right now, folks, camp is a week away. Just 1 week till we have Jets news. Just a few weeks till we have a Hall of Fame game, right? And listen, I hear people laugh at that stuff. Who cares? A bunch of backups. Like, these are the guys that that we've talked about since they were either drafted, brought in as undrafted free agents. Like these are the guys. This is the most you're going to get to see them play at this level as they try to make the team. So I always look forward to it, whether it's the first preseason game, the last preseason game, a Hall of Fame game. Give me all the Jets football you can. So that's just down the road. Again, a few weeks away, which feels crazy to say that we're a few weeks away from Jets football after this offseason that has felt like an entire season itself. The Aaron Rodgers saga felt like an entire offseason. But obviously that's all wrapped up. His deal will be next. The Aaron Rodgers deal, that's an entire new conversation, right? And yes, Chrono Kenny, glad it's done before Hard Knocks. Absolutely. And I do expect the Rodgers deal to be done before Hard Knocks, because they're not going to want him to go out there and possibly injure himself with a $107 million cap hit next year. I'd have to look it up, but I can't recall an example, and I could be wrong here, but I can't recall. And yeah, Franco, big Q deal finally done indeed. Probably a delay. Joe wanted 5 or 6. I don't think Joe D would have been looking for 6. I don't think, if Joe D wanted 6, he had to know that would be as unrealistic as Quinnen wanting 3. So I'm not buying that Quinnen wanted 3. I think if there was any haggle over years, it would have been between 4 or 5, because that's kind of the standard right now. But either way, that deal's done. Rodgers up next. Where are the cuts? Where are the cuts going to come? That's it. Not pay cuts, I should say. Not necessarily roster cuts, because 107 million. The Jets 23 million in cap space this year. Well, we'll see what it'll be, how much Quinnen's getting next year versus what he was projected. The Jets have some work to do to get $107 million cap hit next year spread out over several years. The number of years that the Jets tack on in void years, of course, we expect to see that. So they're going to have to get creative, but really what would help is creating more cap room and reducing those future cap hits that they're going to have. You have to figure whether Rodgers plays 1, 2, or 3 years, the deal is going to extend beyond that to spread this cap hit out. So, 3, 4 years from now, when Rodgers is gone, are you dealing with a $22 million cap hit in dead money, or are you dealing with 11 million? That's going to depend on how the Jets lay this thing out. You've got guys like CJ Mosley, who are due a ton of money. You've got, we've talked about Mosley. You've got Corey Davis, who we've talked about extensively this offseason. I said a couple months ago that I would expect the Jets to do with him what they did with Jamison Crowder and approach him late about a pay cut. Rich Cimini did speculate that was possibly the case regarding Davis's absence from OTAs. The Jets said his wife was pregnant, whatever it may have been, but Cimini speculated. I think he's right that there's probably something more there. Let's see. Would like to see ANO. So Q's done. That's what everybody wanted. Now we wait on the news on Rodgers. We've got a week till camp. I would expect it to happen before them. Jeremy Fowler. Now, don't quote me on this because I couldn't find the actual story on it. Someone mentioned in the forums at Jet Nation, which you really should be in there. If you're not on the forums at Jet Nation, you're really missing out. I'm sure people are absolutely over the moon with this Quinnen news right now. But the number of stories, the number of topics that come up there, just some of it random ideas from Jets fans like you and me, some of it breaking news that you may have missed somewhere else. And one of the stories on there the other day that somebody posted said that they were they had ESPN on or whatever, and Jeremy Fowler said expect the Rodgers deal to get done in the next 10 days, which again is a little bit of common sense, right? As we've said, the Jets aren't gonna risk having Aaron Rodgers get hurt in camp without a new deal done. Hater says Boomer says it's the Rodgers deal will be 3 years spread out. Listen, I'm expecting it to be a 3-year deal, but I'm expecting some void years on top of that. I don't think they're going to try to cram 100 and whatever the total value of the contract is. Like I said, you've got the 107, you've got the bonus money that was due at the end of the year when he signed it with Green Bay. But the total value of the contract over 3 years, I don't think is going to be enough. I think it'll be a 5-year deal, and I'm just guessing here. I'm guessing 5-year deal with them expecting Rodgers to play 3, 2 of the years being void years, and spread it out that way. Again, those are still big cap hits when Rodgers leaves. And this Quinnen deal, this is now a a huge cap hit that you're now projecting into those years with Rodgers while they're both here. So, but listen, this is what listen. I've heard people complain about the ramifications of the cap with you know with having to work with Rodgers, with having to deal with Quinnen. The Jets have good players now, folks. This is what happens. In years past, the Jets had a ton of cap space and overpaid for mediocre talent. Now they've got premium talent, and that means you got to pay premium money. And Quinnen Williams, congratulations to him. I listen. Homer. Of course, I'm a Jets fan. I love the Jets. Their best players are going to be the guys that stand out most. Quinnen Williams is the Jets' best player as far as I'm concerned. I mean, of course, Aaron Rodgers, but defensive side of the ball, Quinnen Williams, him and Sauce right up there is the two best guys. But you want to from the moment he was drafted, right? Like watching him in the interview process leading up to the draft, you were like, this kid just absolutely, you can't not root for him. Like you can just see the joy he got in playing the game and interacting with the media. Just he just screams good guy. Quinnen Williams. Now I'm not even talking about the football aspect. So happy to see a good guy who's a great player. Get his money, get his payday. That's what you want, right? You want your players to play at a level that puts you in a position that forces you to pay them $96 million over 4 years with $66 million guaranteed. That's huge money for a huge talent. And now we wait for the whatever method the Jets are going to use to move money around, whether they're going to, you know, Corey Davis. I think he stays. People have talked about will he get cut. I think that would have happened by now. I think Corey Davis, for my money, is the second best receiver on this team. We can talk about the injuries. We can talk about the drops, which are way overblown. Way overblown. Just look at what he did last year. Had a drop on his first target of the year. Then he had, two the rest of the year? It's way, way overblown. There are other receivers who get way more love than Corey Davis. And if you look at their drop rate, it's higher than Corey Davis. Allen Lazard's drop rate is higher than Corey Davis. So to me, Davis is the better player. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because the history with Lazard, Rodgers probably prefers Lazard. As far as I'm concerned, if everybody's healthy, the Jets are at their best. If you've got Davis on one side with Garrett Wilson on the other and Lazard in the slot, Lazard has played the slot a ton with Rodgers, so he knows the system from that spot. Rodgers has played with him in that spot. And listen, Hader says the CBA will make Q&A Aaron Rodgers deal seem like bargains. Every deal seems like a bargain a couple years after it's signed because these deals, the way the cap the way payrolls escalate as the cap goes up, every time we see a guy sign a crazy deal, 2 years later, you're thinking, man, you're getting him on the cheap. It may be a little bit different for the guys who become the highest paid guy in the NFL. Those top 2 or 3 guys are going to linger in that top couple for a few years. But other guys, as Hader says, a couple years from now, those deals aren't going to seem so crazy. I think what's going to seem crazy with Rodgers is when he's gone if the cap hits are huge. Especially, God forbid, if this team doesn't win a ring with him at quarterback. If the Jets don't manage to find a way to win one, then Rodgers leaves in 2-3 years and you're sitting there with $20 million in dead cap space, that's not going to feel so great. Franco says he agrees Davis is the number 2. Listen, I've been saying that for a while now. I don't dislike Lazard. I think he's a good player, but I really think Corey Davis is the better player. And if you want to have your best guys out there, that means Davis and Garrett Wilson, as your 1 and 2 with Lazard as your 3. And now we wait and see what happens with Davis. But finally, main point here, Quinnen deal is done. Expect the Rodgers deal in coming days. And there'll be, of course, we'll hear about who had to move money around. CJ Mosley's the interesting one. That's the one that he's got a huge, huge cap hit, $17 million. I don't expect him to be with the team beyond this year. Some people have suggested them cutting him this year. Listen, I get from financially, I see why you'd say that, but they want that veteran in the middle of that defense. But keep an eye on Jamie and Sherwood if Mosley does struggle during the year. More on that later. Tonight, we will have Dylan Terman and Chris Schubert, I believe, will be live. This was impromptu. Tried to see if Dylan was able to pop on and share his thoughts. He is not, but you will get plenty from him tonight. Chris Schubert tonight, 6:30, Jet Nation Live. I may even hop in, see what I have going on, but I'm pumped. Everybody should be pumped right now. Camp's on the way. Quinnen's a happy man. Aaron Rodgers is, about to take his first snaps, in a full, not an OTA, this is it. This is the full roster, all 90 guys together in camp. Before you know it, the pads will be on the game. I don't expect to see him in the Hall of Fame game, as you shouldn't, unless you want to have him hand off a couple of times and then exit, which I wouldn't even expect that much. Either way, football season, you can feel it. It's right around the corner. Congrats again to Quinnen Williams. Looking forward to more news as the week goes on. Have a great one, Jets fans.